Firstly, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Abdul Hafiz Lasisi, and I'm a web developer, artificial intelligence enthusiast, machine learning engineer, and this project actually took a lot of time and energy, but what we see, I think it was worth it. So, let me share my screen so you'll be able to see me. Okay. Okay. So, can you see my screen? Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can.
Okay. So, I'll create a new file just to start off. But so as we saw on the whole flyer, uses Django, natural language processing, and Python. Python is the base language. So for Django, you have to be able to use the terminal well to write good Python. But I would teach the ones that are necessary here. So we would learn that. So I'll just go to my terminal, type CMD, and I can start create a new app. Come, someone new wants to join. Someone wants to join. Okay. So as I was saying, yeah, okay. So we'll create a new Django app. That's Django. You forgive my typing errors. Django admin start project. Give it a name that you want. I'll just give this maybe summarizer because that's what we are trying to do. Summarizer meet. Now this doesn't work because of the whole hyphen here. So we can just write that again with I won't use the meet then. This will create a Django app a Django project, I should say, in my local file. So I can log into it now. CD summarizer. Now, now I've logged into it. Now I can create a new Python Django app in it. Let me go into the whole app first before I create it. So this is I'll go into my OS and I'll just check for summarize, or I can just go here, summarizer. Okay, this is it here. Okay, someone wants to join. So that was the app. Pardon me. Summarizer. I can just go into my name here and go into summarizer. So this is summarizer here. You can see we already have a manage.py file here too. This manage.py file is like a Python based file for every Django app, and it helps us to be able to use Python effectively there. So now I'll log onto the manage.py and start a new app. Python manage.py start app. I'll just name this app because it's not the project, it's like the app that we need. So it's just app. So that works. So I can now run the server. This running the server is just makes it to be able to run on our web. Okay, so work now. Okay, now I'll copy this link because this link help us to work well on the web here. Okay, pasting this here. So this shows the install worked successfully here. So okay, okay. Just wanted to check if anyone. So I'll open the new link now, the new summarizer. You can see the app has been shown here too. So now I open it with my code so as to be able to write our code. That's why we are here. So this is already automatically generated with all those codes I wrote, Django, admin, startup, and all. That's one of the beauties of Django, because you don't have to be able to start writing codes by yourself. You don't have to start, and it also makes comments so you can know, at least get some, you should know one or two things on what you want to do. So you register your models, you register your views. So you learn, you just read some things and you understand. So, firstly, we need to be able to create our HTML file that we'll be able to see. We don't want to see that on an install work successfully. We don't want to see that on our on our site. So let's create HTML file. For our HTML file that we need to create, we must use it in a templates file. It's not compulsory, but it's the best way to go. So you create a templates file. You open this, name it index.html. I can just, this you just, okay, it's done by, you press the exclamation mark. It's like a VS Code shortcut. So you press the exclamation mark, then it brings out from there, you just tap enter, then it helps you to generate the basics of it. So you can now do like h1 hello world. But before it can even be rendered at all, if I save now and I reload, nothing changes. So before it can even show anything, you have to make some changes. So now let me do them one by one. Firstly, I'll go into the urls.py. I have to have two urls.py files, one in the app and one in the project. So now I should already have one in the app. Okay, I have one in the project already here. Then now I'll go into the app here and I'll create another one. urls.py. So here, it's urls.py here. Now I can include, I'll include the second one. This second one that I just created, I will include it here. So here is path. This empty braces here, they are used to just show, like, normally you write admin, like for the site, for the path site. Like now, if I open a whole new link, like if I go to google.com, it's just google.com. Like that's the homepage of google.com. That's why it's just empty. This is just telling me that that's the homepage I'm opening. So I'm now going to do include, if I can type well, include app. Sorry, this is meant to be in app.urls. I'll save this and I'll go into the second app here. The second URL is here, I should say. Then I'll import the views. I'll say on that in a minute. Let me just import it from .import views. This dot means go into the base directory, then import the views. Then secondly, you can import path. But since I'm not sure of where to import path from, just go here. You can see we used path here too, so I can just copy this. So everything is right. Then I'll do path. Then I'll write the path. Before I go into this, let me go into the views that I said I'll talk about. So this is the views. This views just tells you what you see on the screen. It shows exactly what you're meant to see on the screen. This is what explains it one by one. So it works in functions. Define index for every function here, you must call a request. If not, it won't work. Define index, then now return. I'll explain this in a minute to index.html. Okay, so this now I meant to call a request here first. Okay, so this just tells it render the index.html file out. Hello? Can anyone hear me? If I continue.
Yeah, I can,
Okay. But
bro.
are you understanding too? Let me know.
I am. Yeah, I am.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
So
sure.
this helps us to render the whole HTML file out. One. So go back to the urls.py files here now. This path here helps us to create all the paths. Or better still, sorry, before I go on, do you feel I should show the whole thing that we want to create first, or should I go on creating it? So I'll need your response here. Should I show the whole app that I created first before I continue, or I should just be
Yeah,
okay.
done.
So I'll
Yeah.
show the app now. Okay. Um, Network is okay. If this can load. You give this a minute, please. Or I'll just open this here on my laptop too. Okay. So this has loaded successfully. So this is the app that I created here. This is the whole thing that we want to create here. Even though we might not style it the same, but is the whole context here. Like now, if I type all numbers into a summarizer app to extract, if you bring out an error code, which just shows the whole. Okay, so this says there's a problem with your text. It's either completely numeric or too short. This is just a whole, just the whole error code, which is actually very good for an app because you won't want to put only numbers into a summarizer app. So that just works well. And this is the full code. Let me show the full code too. So this is what the full code looks like, one by one, line by line. You can just ignore the names here. It's just like this is the urls.py that we did. This is the admin, the views that I said we'll create that too. We can check that out too now, so we'll know what we are going into. So that should be all for now. So I'll move on. Now back to my own. So we are going into this urls.py. URL patterns equals to now path. The home page, as I stated before, This is views dot index. Then give it a name. Name is equals to index. Save this. Then before it still won't be rendered out like this. We have to go into the settings file, then configure that. We have to tell the Django app that, hey Django app, the template I want you to render out is inside this template file. If not, it's not going to see it. So firstly, we need to this installed apps here. We need to go here, installed apps, then give it the name of this new app. You can save this. Then here you can see this templates file here. Then we go into these directories. This there is means directories. So now write base directory slash templates. Can save this now. Let's try and reload this. So this now shows our hello world text that we wrote in the index.html. Now our HTML is successfully rendering. But before we go into any styling, let's make sure we do the main thing, which is extracting text from long text here. So I'll go into the, as I said before, this whole thing is done in the views.py. So let me go into the index.html file. Firstly, you would like to create a form. The form is where you create the whole text box. If you can hear me, okay, yeah. A form is where you create the text box, like where you write the text that you want to extract and the button to extract it. That's where you put it in the HTML here. So I can create a form with no action, and method here would be post. I can use a text area because it's going to be very big. Name, I'll have to give it a name because this, without giving it a name, I won't be able to reference to it in the Python file, which is our views.py. So here let me give it a placeholder. So it actually says enter your full text here. And columns, rows, this does not really matter for now. You can, when we want to style it, we would rectify. Then I can go here and write button to submit. Then we can write extract. When we save this, when we go back here and then reload, we see what we've done. We see our changes here. So before we can also work with it, we have to make sure we import a CSRF token. This CSRF token means cross-site request forgery. This is like a safety precaution for all Django apps. If not, they'll be able to be hacked and manipulated, which is not good. So we must write this to make sure it's safe. This CSRF token is dead, and if you also don't write it, to give an error in production too. So we must make sure we do that. Then this CSRF token is written and done. Then now we can go into our views.py. This views.py here, we go here, then if request dot method, that's we are telling it we did a method here for this form. So we are asking it if the request dot method, most of these codes sound like English. If request dot method is equals to post, then we can now start writing the code there. We can now grab what is written inside. Let me write if request dot method is post, then full text, I'll name it full text, equals to request dot post full. What did I name the text area here? The name is also full text here, so I can just copy this to save any errors. Copy this here and paste it there. So this is full text, request dot post equals to full text. I can save this for now. Then I can now go to the next. This is Let me explain this before we move on. This full text here grabs whatever you write inside this text box here. Let me make it dual screen so we can work on both sides. Okay. So this should stop me from navigating from one to the other. So this full text here helps us to grab whatever is written inside this text area here. So next, I can now grab this full text here and do whatever I need to do, which here is summarize the written text here. So full text is equal to no. So let's create all our error functions first, because if we don't create the error functions, it's also going to hinder us at the end. So if full text dot is numeric, this just says if the full text is numeric, is equal to no. This is boolean. Is equals to true, or if or let me find the length, because you don't want to summarize one worded. Sorry, sorry, can anyone hear me? Oh my. Hello. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. I'm so sorry. Hello? Okay, no one is here. Okay. Hello, can okay. I don't think anyone is here yet. So I'll just wait a bit. Can anyone oh my lord. No one has been able to join back. Okay. Network point. I'm recording it. No, no, it's on my. It's from my laptop. I'm doing it. Okay, so network went, so I had to reopen the link so people will join back now. So you can just have patience. Let like one more person join back.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine.
But before you joined, let me just explain one or two things that I did before you joined. So
Oh,
I
oh,
created a Django app and a project, which this was. I opened the, this is I did all this in my command prompt.
please can you share your
Okay,
screen? Because I
I'll
don't
do
see
it
what
now.
you did.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Oh yeah. I
so
can.
I went to my command prompt here, and if I swipe up here, so this is how to create a Django app and a Django project. Django administer project summarizer. This here,
Oh,
created the summarizer app
this this
in my base directory of my laptop.
this summarizer meet is the
No,
name
the
of the
summarizer means didn't
Django
work
app.
because of the hyphen in it. It does not allow hyphens, it just allows only
Oh,
letters and numbers.
oh,
So
okay.
this second
Summarizer.
summarizer, the one that didn't give this red stuff, is the one that later worked. So secondly,
Okay.
is able to now made an app inside the summarizer. I had to go into the summarizer because it's the project that holds everything. So I now had to
Yeah,
open
fine.
create a new app inside. Then
Okay.
when I now created the whole this, I now have to run the server. When I run the server, it will bring it out, but that's not really useful because it's just showing the install worked perfectly. What we need now is
Okay.
how to display the whole data. What we want to use now, how we want to
Oh,
display it.
fine.
So I'll go into the code now. Okay. Let me comment this out for now. So what I did here, firstly, I created a new urls.py file in this app. This urls.py, it was not originally there. Like
Okay.
this whole app, this whole summarizer, all these codes, apart from these templates, everything were automatically generated
Okay.
from that.
Yeah. I think from a
Yes,
start
yes,
app,
yes.
right?
Everything was automatically generated. So this template was the new thing I did, and this urls.py in the app was the new thing I did. So, but firstly, in this
Okay.
urls.py in this summarizer, I had to tell them that tell the Django app that there's another urls.py here. So you just have to include it as you are including this, include that too. So that's just like in
Okay.
basic man terms. So then I now went here and now created. Then in these views, I had to import these views.py. This views.py here, I had to import it.
Yes.
Then I
Okay.
now
Okay. Okay.
logged in. You do views.index. You log into this views.py. If you can open this, you see there's an index here. This is index here.
Okay.
So that's what I logged into. I'm just telling it to display this index function as the home
Right.
page. This home page is what shows
Okay.
this double empty quotations. That's what homepage means and in Django. So I can Okay, so let me open the document for you to see. Okay, so this is the HTML. If I can open there, so this is what I've written in the HTML. Hello world, text area. This is the text area, and this is the submit button. It has not been styled. Nothing has been done to it. So this is just
Okay.
basic.
Yeah.
So okay,
Okay.
then go into this views of pipe back. This request of method is equals to post in this index.html. You could see I wrote this form action method post here. So is that method post? That's what
Fine.
I'm grabbing. That's what I'm grabbing in the views of pi.
Okay.
If request
Okay.
of method is double equals to post,
Post.
then full text, then I'm now grabbing the full text.
Inside a variable
Yeah.
called
So
footext.
I'm grabbing the
Okay.
full text here. So if now I can continue, I'll probably just continue since it's recording. Then I should. Okay,
Oh, the
someone wants
recording.
to
Oh,
join.
okay.
Okay, welcome back. Someone. Okay, so I can continue now. I've been able to explain it to you. So now I want to create the error text of the whole of the document. Now this error text is what tells it like if you write only numbers or if you write a short text in it, it won't work because you don't want to give a summarizer. You don't want to give a summarizer a two-worded. Yeah,
Very
you
short.
can't give a summarizer something short. It has to be long enough,
Okay.
if you understand me. Then sorry for that. Then now let me write the whole text. So if the full text is numeric, this is numeric just means if everything is numeric, or if the length of it full text dot split. I have to split it so as to remove the spaces. If not, it will count spaces with it. And we don't.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. The is numeric. Is it a function or it's an inbuilt
It's inbuilt. It's inbuilt
thing
in
from
Python.
Django? Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Fine.
Same as this length too. It just this one is like you calculate the length of it, length of words in it.
Okay.
So I can now write a
Yeah.
message. Another good thing about Python, I mean I should say Django, is that it helps us to display messages. You don't have to write the message in HTML. So if something does not happen, if something is not going well, you can write a message from the Django. Okay, so there is
From
an
Django.
app.
Yeah.
Okay, this particular one was the one I created for the original one. I showed this initially, but okay, it probably was not went on there yet. So this
Okay.
was the one I created initially. This is the main extractor app that I did. So this you have to go into the view in my views.py here. I just want to check the message. So from this django.contrib import messages, is this messages here that we'll be able to use to display messages. I'm coming. So if I copy this and so I'll be able to use this because we're still in an open if statement. We are still having read. So if the full text is remaining, then so we can now do messages dot error. Because it's an error text, we have to use the error. We can use whatever you want actually. Um there are other alternatives to use, but error text, because it's an error, it seems good. It seems the way it should be. Okay, so this else this is the text that we wanted to display, this particular error here. I'll test it out in a while. Let me just create the else block. I'll pass this else block so we can move on and just check it out. But before we do it, we have to tell the index.html too that okay, you are writing a message from Python. If not, it's not going to display anything. So that is done with a couple of Python like HTML codes. I know that sounds weird, but I will explain now. So this is how you write Python in HTML. It's not like you're writing Python in HTML, but that's how it is in Django. It's like you're writing Python code in HTML in a Django environment. So I loop into the messages from message in messages. Before I forget, I make sure I end this for statement at once. Because if you don't, because there's no red to show, it won't show any red, you won't be notified if you are wrong. You'll just be having issues while deploying. So I'd rather just end it now to save ourselves from stress. Okay, so this is my mistake here. Okay, then I'll go into this. I will now tell this that if messages, if message dot tags, this particular error that I wrote here in the views.py, this error here is a message tag. There are different tags. There's error, there's success, there's info, there's debug. Those are the four. So it's double is equal to, this is double equals because it's Python. It's equals to error. Let me make sure I end this too before I move on. You can hear me, yeah? Oh, can you hear me? Can anyone hear me? Oh my god. Okay, I'm so sorry. Can anyone hear me now? It's network issues.
Yeah, we can.
Okay,
Yeah, we
okay.
can.
I'm sorry for the end. Okay, so this was where I was. If you can see this, okay. For the message in messages, and if the tag is error, because I'll create a one of success and I'll create a one of info.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Share your screen, please.
Okay, I'll share the screen. Okay.
And please, can I say
Okay.
something? Um, I feel that I don't know. I'm more interested in the model
Okay. Okay.
stuff,
I'll
how
get there. I'll get there
than
now.
the
I'll
whole
get there now.
than the whole web stuff.
Okay. I'll,
If you get. And again, I have a meeting by five
okay.
o'clock. So when are you planning on finishing? How many
I
hours is
should
it?
be I should be done before 5:30. It shouldn't take that long.
Okay, maybe after my
Okay.
meeting, I'll be able to
Okay.
join back.
So continuing
Okay.
now. This is where I stopped. So for message in messages, this is just writing the whole Python in HTML in Django. So now I can create a heading, and now I have to be able to access it. Since we want, let me just access it and do this.
Share your
Okay,
screen,
sorry.
please.
Okay, can you see my screen now, please? Okay,
Yeah, we
okay.
can.
So this was where I was in this. If the message or tags is error, as we did in this views of pi, if the messages of pi is equals to error, then it shows error. So I'll go here to configure it out. If message, then I now have to create a class here to just show this out. Message, and I have to end it. And if and I'll write. Uh, then I now have to write this message here. If it saves now, okay. Now let me try it in the. If I write just number text extract, it doesn't show here because we haven't displayed what it should show here. So I like to use inline CSS. Don't know about other guys too, but I feel that's the best. So style the error. This is styles error is gives a. I can make it okay. Someone wants to join. Okay, so continuing now, I would make this a red because it's an error text. So color red. Save this. Reload this. Okay, before I continue, if message or tags to reload. Just random text to show if it's okay. Network is acting up again. Oh, okay. This is taking so much time to load. Okay, we can move on. Since it's taking a lot of time to load, I'll go into the original one that I created before, and I can just go there and explain it there. Then when it's done loading, it should bring it out. So this is the one I made before. This is just the same as the error text here. This is just saying for message in messages, as I explained here. I can crop this out too. For message in messages, message or tags here. Okay, I think I made a mistake here too, but shouldn't it should still bring it out. Okay, no problem. Then that's probably it there for there, and it should be bringing it out now. Okay, let me reopen, rerun the server. Python manage the py run server. Okay, then I can reload this. Okay, someone wants to join the admit. Okay, so now we've continued. Now, if you can see when I reloaded the server, the error text comes out. And this error text was actually written in the Django file, but due to our HTML, we were able to show it out. So now, since that will be okay for the basic thing. Now let's go into this else block. This else block is where we write our natural language processing, the model that we use, and all that. Excuse me. So I'll go into my original text, original project once again. Go into this views.py and I'll explain this from here. So, firstly, the name of the Python library I'm using, the name is Spacey, it is a natural language processing, like it makes natural language processing easier. If you can go onto Google, you can read the documentations too, like I did when I wanted to do it, or you can just learn from here too. So before you start, you can go into your file and write pip install Spacey. You can just do the pip install. I won't be able to use my terminal now because it's running this, but the code you need is just pip install Spacey. This particular code I wrote here, and this should work perfectly. And also, it will install some other dependencies that it will use with it, and this is just all we need for this particular file here, but we shouldn't worry about it now, because if I can, I'll drop the GitHub too for the whole project too. I'll post it on YouTube and post it on my socials too, so you can just touch it and go through it too there. But these are all the libraries we need and all the code we need for the deployment too, because we'll be deploying later on too. So I'll go into the views. I shouldn't have closed that file, but well. So this is the views.py. Now this spacey helps us to look through words, helps us to summarize, I should say. It helps us, but you have to be able to go through it. You have to be able to go through it and read it and know from the whole documentations, I should say. So now this string is like punctuation. Punctuations in English, comma, full stop, and all that. Stop words here means the most important text that, like, in English now, the, a, most of them are not really, you don't need them. They are not useful words. They don't pass any main thing. They're just like prepositions and all. So they don't really pass any valuable information. Okay. Just check if I wasn't speaking to myself again. So they don't pass any valuable information here. If I go back there, yeah, so they don't pass any valuable information. So now let's get into the code. So I would copy these imports, because once again, cramming code does not help. If you can just know it and explain it, that's exactly what is needed. So this is string, this is the punctuations. I've imported all punctuations. This spacey. So in the spacey, there are different languages. There is English, there is Spanish, there is French, and all other languages. So there are stopwords for all of them. So you have to import the stopwords for every language, which is English in this case. So now I move into the writing of the whole natural language processing codes. So firstly, I have to make the stopwords accessible. This stopwords here is in an array. Yeah, I think it's in an array form. All the stopwords that they wrote here is in an array form. So you have to list it. You have to listify it, if that's a word. You have to list it out so you can access it. Stopwords. Now this is in a list form and it can be used in the project. Okay. Now you go on. So this is just I'll make this NLP because that's what I used to here. Spacey.load. So you are telling it to load the English part of it. Ncore web SM as written here too. So this is a particular type. It's not like a type of English, but a particular style of English. I think is British English, yes, for spacey. So you are able to use this particular English. You have to load it, and also before you can be able to do this, you have to install it. Let me go into this build.shell file so we will be able to see this. This build.shell file has all the things we need to do on deployment, but I will just be giving us a sneak peek because we need it. So for this file, you need to go this particular line of code here: Python -m spacey download Ncore web SM. This is exactly what we need here. You have to write this out before it can work. You have to have downloaded the extension on your terminal before it can work. So okay, moving on now into the views.py. Okay, so I would use this particular one I made before and write it here so for explanatory reasons. So now I can create a new document, not like a document, but is a document for the natural language processing and the full text. This full text is the one we grab from the HTML. It's the one the user inputs into our app that we want to summarize. So this is what we now store it in a document form. Now, firstly, if you are looking at summarizing anything, you have to look at which words come common the most. What words are there the most? Which words do you see the most? So that's what word frequencies. You must check this. If not, you're like just wasting your time. If you go there and you check if you see, I think that is actually self-explanatory. I don't need to explain. I don't need to touch that. But if you don't understand, you can just say something. I would, I will access it. Okay, so moving on. Okay, I think is that someone? Okay, I'll move on here. Okay, sorry about that. Thought someone wanted to join the meeting. So now we have to loop through the doc that we created. This particular doc that we are looking through here, we have to loop through it. So no, okay, someone wants to join. Okay. Okay, so moving on now. Okay. So moving on now here. So we are looping through the document file. That's the document of the full text. We are like storing it as a document of the full text that we have stored in. So now we create an if statement. If the word or text the lower. Okay, you want to speak? Okay. Probably that was a mistake then. Okay, we'll move on. So this if word or text dot lower, this converts all the text to lowercase first. Then it now checks it. If the word or text in lower is not in stop words, these stop words are the most common words, the words that are not useful in a language, like the a, there, and all those prepositions too. Those ones aren't really useful too. So then we create another if statement. We are checking a lot of things. You have to satisfy something before I'll render you out as being important. If you understand that. So if word dot text dot lower is not in punctuation. Check this again. We are also saying that if this word is not a punctuation, we don't want to be rendering out commas, we don't want to be rendering out full stops as being important. That does not make any sense. So we check another thing again. If word dot text is not in word frequencies dot keys, dot if word dot text is not in the, okay, so this word frequencies that we created is like a is I okay, it's like a Python dictionary. Is this a dictionary? Okay, I'm trying to remember the name, but I'm not getting it. But it's stored in keys and values. So there are keys, there are values. I would work on the values too. Okay, if you can see this now, there is values here. So we are looking at the word frequencies values. So there are keys and there are values. So we are now looking at if mommy, mommy, mommy. So sorry for this. Okay. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry for the network. My network has been horrendous all day. Okay, so I'll continue. I'll start sharing my screen again. So now I'm sharing my entire screen. If you can, please, you communicate to me if you can see the screen. Sorry, please. Can anyone let me know if they are seeing my screen? Sorry, are you seeing my screen, anyone? Is anyone seeing my screen, please? Before I continue, so I would know if I would. Okay, am I mute? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, now can you hear me? Okay, okay. Can you also see my screen? You can just signify it too. Okay, okay. Now I'll move on. So I stopped at where I was saying if the is stored in keys and values. So now I would continue. I think I've explained this. Okay. So now I'm adding to the word frequencies. Word frequencies is explaining which one is the plentier word. I think I've said that. So I can just move on. Okay. Is this someone? Okay. So you're adding in. This is just telling it in the word there is a text. So this is making like okay. Let me explain this. So we are adding this. Yeah, adding this is equal to 1. This is saying that in the word frequencies, the plenty words, the most common words, I should say, okay, the most common words to access it, you must you must use this square brackets. Yes, so you must now open this word. There's a word like word is a key in it. Yes, so that's the word. Word is a key in it. So you have to, when you've opened through it, then you now equate it to 1. If that is clear enough. Then else, if it does not satisfy this, if it's not a key, then you don't add it. You actually even add it. My bad. But here you don't you just add it. You don't reassign it. Here you are reassigning. You are reassigning and telling it as 1 all over again. So but here you just have to add 1 to it. Okay. Now I'll move on. So now I need to create a max frequency. This max frequency here is like explaining how plenty the values, how plenty the amount of words in that word frequencies. If you're understanding me, okay, I'm still here. Probably be checking at regular intervals to make sure I'm good. So here I have to make sure that this max frequency, what it does, it just tells me the amount of how plenty the words are. So now max frequency is equals to max word frequencies dot values. So before I said there are keys and values. This was the keys and this is the values now that we are accessing. So we are accessing these particular values here. Then we now have to create another loop. We loop into it again. We loop into these word frequencies here. Word frequencies dot keys, because these keys are like saying the words. Like is there like let me give like an example now. There is like a word now for the whole, imagine for the whole text and input now to be summarized. There are a lot of things that write about food. So there are food plenty times. So there is food is like the key and the number of times is like the value. If you understand that now, okay, I think that's very okay now. Then word frequencies. Before I said something that we have to go into the word. We have to go into the word, that particular word. Then word frequencies. We must not do anything without going into that word. If not, it won't work. I think I made that mistake once or twice in production too, but I learned the hard way. So don't be like me. Max frequency here. So we are now let me explain what this is about. So we have to divide these word frequencies, how plenty the words are. by the maximum frequency. This like gives a balance. If you do machine learning code, you will know about AOC, recall, precision, and okay, recall, precision. Yes, those are the AOC and also and all that. This is something like it because this gives like a 0 point something that the highest you can get is 1. So the higher it is, the that's how it would be known as more important, as less important, as all that. Okay, I think I'm going into machine learning code, but save me, you can ask for explanation if you don't get it. So sentence, let me just create another one. Sentence tokens here is equals to sent. This is lambda functions. Lambda, yeah, lambda for loops. You can just use it to create for loops without if now I'll have to write all this. No, I will have used the lambda for loops for all this, but it's too long and it won't be okay for understanding. So I'd rather use the long one. But this is just one line. It's just if for this in this. So we don't really need to do it. So for if sent is in doc.sent. So now I'll explain this. Excuse me. So this doc here, this doc up here that my mouse is hovering on, this doc here equals to the NLP, the full text. It creates the full text and the sentiments. The sentence. If you are understanding, I can't open it, but okay, I think I know all the things that are inside. The sentence, the sentiments. So now we'll see the sentiment of the text and the full sentence one by one, because I want to do it in a sentence form because I don't want to rearrange the sentences because I feel they would lose. Okay, I'm still here. I feel they would lose a lot of valuable information. If I say I should rearrange the sentence, I would lose some valuable information which we'll need. So we can just pick out sentence by sentence the most important ones. Excuse me. So I will have printed this out, but there's no need. So sentence scores. I'll explain all these too. You can give me a minute. Is equals to this. Okay, my bad. There are no codes without mistakes. So we create another for loop for sent in sentence tokens. Okay, so for sent in sentence tokens just means, okay, I think this is from this line of code and what I explained before. I think this is actually self-explanatory if you get. But if you don't, you can signify. You can type it out there, and I'll go back to it to explain. But if you don't, we can move on. For word in sent, so this is for a word in sentence. If it was sentiment, it would be sentim. But if it's not, it's just sent, and that means sentence as per word. So if word dot text dot lower. Okay, did I write the right word here? Okay, sorry. I think I made a mistake somewhere. For sent in sentence looking for word in sent and for word. Am I still here? Okay, I am okay. So let's continue. If word dot text, so I have to check the text. If word dot text dot lower in word frequencies dot keys. So this is the keys. This is the keys that is telling us the most common words. This is we are running our check as normal as we did before. So we have to check all the if you fulfill all these complements. It's not complements, I should call it. If we fulfill all the said It's like you are writing, you are telling us that if you have this, if you have this, if you don't have this, then you can't be in what I'm rendering out as per summarized. So if you don't have it, if you have it, that's it, then you add it. Okay. So this is the check for it. This it runs in if statement. Okay, someone wants to join. I'm coming. Okay, so as I was saying, if the sentence if the sentence is not in sentence scores, sentence scores is also stored in keys and values. That's why it's represented with this dictionary here. Sentence scores. So as I explained before, you must use these square brackets to access everything that is a dictionary, as I did in these word frequencies here, as I did in this word, as I've done all along. That's the way you access things inside. That's the way you access their inner values. Like if I was to be able to open it now, I would do to access the keys, to access the values. That's the way I would go into each and every one of them. Equals to the word underscore frequencies. The word frequencies go into, as I said before, go into its word dot text dot lower. The reason why we are using lowercase is that it helps it's better, because if it transcribes everything to lowercase before it then goes all the way all over again before it works. Okay, so okay, I think I'll tab this. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. Okay, let me Control Z this and then tab all this. Okay, so that was a mistake there. Python issues. This can't be outside the whole else block. Okay, so I'll move on. That won't happen with JavaScript if well, it's Python that we use to make mistakes. JavaScript uses this whole curly braces stuff, but I feel that is better, but we have to learn this too. So moving on. So I have to go into the else block. So if the sent is not in, I think I've explained this. Let me move on. If the sentence scores, putting this in the sent. Okay, I think I'm still here. Okay. I'll just make sure I'm not talking to myself again. So I have to loop through. No, that's not looping through. I'm sorry. We have to go into the sentence scores dictionary and go into the sense part of it here. I'm sorry. I'm used to word frequencies already, but I'll soon get there. So word frequencies, then go into it again. All right. I think he's already knowing what I want to do, so you can just save yourself the stress and use the autocomplete. I think that works fine. So I can now move here to the end and tab this, then sentence scores. I can save this now. This, what I've done here all through now, I've told it what to do. I've explained, I've not explained, it's not, I have been able to classify important sentences and non-important sentences to to all our text now. I've been able to classify it, the important ones and the non-important ones. So now I move on. Now, what I do now is that I have to select the length. This is not, it's not as if I'm selecting length, but I think select length is actually the best for this sentence, because I like to use my functions to identify whatever it's saying. Like I don't want to use a as a function, as a variable name, I should say. I don't want to use a, so I will make sure that even if I'm giving the code to someone else as I'm writing on GitHub, so you'll be able to see it and understand. So this length explains how much you want the text to be, how much of summarized text you want to be. You don't want the whole text to give you one back. Now this 0.3 here is the maximum you can have is one. Maximum that you can have is one, and that one would display all your image back. I said image. It will display all your text back. So which we don't want that. We want the summarized version. So I feel 0.3 or 30%, I should say, is actually very okay because I feel 20% is also very good, but I feel 30 will give you more info too. So that will be better. So moving on. Moving on now. Okay, I can write the summary. So this is okay. Am I okay? I think someone left. Okay, okay. I'll continue. I thought my network went off again. Okay, so I'm moving now. Summary is equals to n largest. This n largest here is it. Oh, how do I explain this now? Okay, let me go into Google. Type in n largest. What does n largest do in Python? Okay, so n largest method, n largest yeah method returns a specified number of rows starting at the top after sorting the data frame by the highest values in a specified column. Me explaining is usually not enough, so let's go to Google where we all run to. So this here just makes our work easier, I would say, because it brings out the number of rows starting from the top after sorting the data frame. But this is also a data frame here, but it works perfectly. I feel okay. Okay, I'm still here. So moving on. Now I'll go into this. Okay. He gave us the things to work with before, but I think I've cleared that. So I'll just move on and explain as I go on. Select length. Now I have to use both select scores and select token. But since I've already used select tokens, yeah, since I've already used select tokens for all the okay, no problem, no problem. Since since I've already used the select tokens to make the select length, I would just move on with the select tokens and select scores. Sentence scores, I should say. So sentence scores here, and now create a key equals to sentence scores dot get. Now I'm getting the keys. I'm getting the keys of the sentence scores. As I said before, it's a dictionary with keys and values. So the keys there is the exact words. Is the words that is what is saying that okay, these are the words that are common. These are the common ones, these are the ones that are not common and all that. So I move into this final summary here. I think I don't need to make the names final summary. I'll use new summary is equal to also I'm using the lambda function again. Word.text. This word.text here is what we've been using since. Word.text for word in summary. Okay. Word.text or word in summary. So let me explain this line. This is just taking every word in this summary here and looping through it. As simple as that. Taking everything in it and looping through it. Now I now go there and I'll reassign this summary to it. Because here the words that are joined are done here in this original summary here. They are not spaced out well. They are not well formatted. That's the word. They are not well formatted. They are rough. So this particular line will help sort it out and make it readable. Use the join into the new summary. I'll save that now. Okay, so I'll save that now. So that's all with the whole natural language processing. And this is everything here. If I can scroll through it, this is everything here. And I feel it's actually very easy, and that was thanks to Spacey. Big ups to them if they are seeing this too. The messages. So now I would display it. Like I said before I write this out, Django helps us to write messages without writing it in the HTML. Messages that come out if this happens, this will happen, and to display a message. Like, or also I could have done a login page now, and it will come out and say you have successfully logged in with a message, and it's even this, it can make it disappear too if you want, like for a while and just disappear. But so this is it. This info, I use this info because it's explaining the info that we received. That's the full text. Okay, someone wants to join. Okay, I'm coming. Okay, I think the person was not able to join. Okay, if I see it again out. Okay, no problem. So this messages.info helps us to display the messages and these messages. I would have also loved to save the message in the backend because Django helps us to do that too. But I feel it's not necessary because you don't really need to be saving it in the backend. Why do I need to save something that I'll just use now in the backend when I'm not going back to it again? So I felt it's just as per functionality, and you just need to just display it now so I can copy it back and continue my work. Also, if you are using it to read too, you won't want something to copy to the backend and all. So if you understand, now I can save this. Then I can go back into this index.html here and now write code. Okay, the meeting ends in 15 minutes. Okay, so I would create a new link. When it's like 2 minutes to the end, I'll create a new link. I'll share it here. Then we can join and continue there. Okay. If you heard that, you can just signify. Okay, I have to do Google Premium. Okay. Okay, so I'll move on for now. I think I should be able to finish this whole. When I'm doing a new meeting, all what I'll do there is deployment. So you can catch the deployment in new meeting. So now I'm displaying these messages here in this HTML here. So I can just copy this whole code. This whole code was very useful, so I can copy this twice. But I will just make sure I create a spacing so we can read it well. Okay. So wait, let me create a new meeting. Okay, I think I have created a new meeting already. Coming. So okay, before I move on, I'll create it on my phone and share it here. So you just so okay, for now as we are going on, so if messages.tags is equals to error. Now we need if the tags is equals to success. No, I would want the first tag that should show should be the full text. Then it should now write after it the summarized text, if you get what I'm trying to insinuate here. So if message.tags here is info. Okay, yes, I think that's all I need to change. If the tags here is success, I've saved this. So now dot success. Let me make the color of this green. I think that's self-explanatory, I should say. Then dot info, I would make this color black. Okay, so now let's test the app. Moment of truth. Let me reload this whole app here. Okay, so which long text can I use? Before I go in, let me test this whole error text again. If I'm still here, okay, you can see me. If error text here, let me extract this. It shows error. Okay, very nice, as it should be. So let me now check the long text if it works. I think I made something here. Okay, important text for my meet. open with code. So I would be able to copy this, paste this extract. Okay, so we have an error, which is no idea what's coding without errors. So now let's go into it and check what we did wrong. So moving here, we would see, I think it's probably not the views.py because views.py is here. So I'll go into this index.html file. So this index.html file here too, we could have been able to read this. If we read this and see for message in messages, shows this, brings out the message. Excuse me. So moving on now, I think it's actually correct. Probably an error. Well, okay, this is all my styles. I would have loved to style it here too, but I can probably do that. I can also style in the next Google Meet too. Okay, let me create that Google Meet link. Okay, so I've copied the link. I would send it here. So this is the new link here. We'll join this in a while, in like the next 10 minutes. Or should we just join now so as to facilitate it? Can anyone hear me? Should we join the new meet now? Or can someone please signify? Can someone please signify? Okay. Okay, so I'll probably let us join the new meeting now. I would I'm thinking of how I would post this. Okay, I'll post this on WhatsApp. I'll post this on all my meets here now. Let me let me let me copy this link. Then I'll post this on my socials now. Okay, so I would post this on my socials and would be back there in like some minutes. So please just stay tuned. I will be because of these Google Meet issues. So I'll be back. Okay, hello. Can anyone hear me now? I think I've been able to present my screen here. Okay, is there anyone? Okay, no one has been able to join. Okay, I think I'm able to. Okay, so I'm still talking to myself. Okay, I'll probably. I've seen the error that I made here. Okay. Okay, so I'll probably just continue here, and when we're back, people will join me and we'll keep going on. So I would join the two of them, so I'll get a notification when I would get a notification when people want to join this one too. Okay. 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 Okay, so I'll just continue this and we'll continue. So okay, I'm still here. So I'll create a new one. Okay, so I'll move on now. I will probably just record this now and share this in the whole thing. So the error I actually made, why it was is not showing it out, is because in this views.py here, I did not specify the length. Here, I just wrote the if this is true or if the length is this. I didn't say okay. I think I'm not sharing my screen. I'm talking to myself. Okay, if y'all can see my screen now. Okay. Okay, so I'm back. So if this screen here, I should have said, is less than 40. 40 is I think is a very good benchmark to set. So I will just continue using this and I can save this. Okay. Okay, no, that was my other phone. Okay. So I think 40 is the best way of using this because 50 is also very good, but I felt 40 was okay. You can want to summarize something of that length. So now I should be able to work well with it. Now let's copy this text, our text. Put this here. This. Let me reload the site first. I think I would do this. Okay, so this now works here, and when we extract it, now we can see our full text in black and we can see our summarized text in green. You can see our green text in black, our summarized text in green. Okay, no one has been able to join. Has anyone? Okay, I think, okay, I'm still here. Has not been able to join. Okay, so moving on. Now, I'll, after my text, I can now, since I see that it works well, I'll probably not style it because styling will take a lot of time, and what I'll just do is give it a good font and just move on. I think fonts are like, if we've moved on with the fonts, it should be able to do it. Okay, so let me go into the CSS of the one I did initially. That's inline that I did with the HTML. I can just go there, grab the link. Okay, I would pick up this body tag too because I feel I did a good job styling it, so why not do it again? So index here, moving on. Why hasn't anyone been able to join? Is there an issue somewhere? There's an issue somewhere. Okay. Let me change this to white so we can all see it. So if I reload this, it should be white, black, and green. Okay. Now this is well done, but we'll have to change this H2 here. So now let's create original text. So I think I'll be able to post this on YouTube. If you are not seeing me, there's no problem. I'll post the remaining on YouTube. So moving on, paste. Now I'll just write this L1 H1. This H1 here. I would now write original text, summarize text. If anyone, okay, so I can save this here and wrong saving. Okay, someone want to join. Okay, no, it's just a notification. Okay, moving on. Now I'll go here and I'll be able to. I'll make all H1s have black. I don't need this hello world H1 again, so I'll clear it. Now this H2, that's the heading 2. I can save. Let me use this and give our stuff a name. Summarizer. I think that's good enough. Okay, so I didn't give it a color. Okay, H1. H1 color black. Okay, so we can see the difference. This is the original text. This is the summarized text. I feel this is actually very okay. Okay, someone wants to join. Goodness. Okay, so someone has. Okay, now we move on. So I was saying that people that are left because of any technical issues, I should be able to post the link, the meeting on YouTube, so you can check that out there too. But this is all I've been able to do. I've been able to summarize apps. I've been able to summarize text here. This is the original text, this is the summarized text, and I could center all this here so it looks better. So I think you came right in time for deployment. So I'll deploy this. Anyone that misses this will have to go into the the YouTube and watch that. So now I can just align this in the center so it looks better. Yeah, so everything aligned at the center. I think it looks very okay. Awesome. All right, so now I can now paste. I can now render this. So now I'll go into the site I'm using for rendering is Render. I That's why I'm already saying rendering. The site I'm going to use for deployment is Render, and I feel is actually the best. But okay, I think does someone want to join or is that a message? Okay, it's a message. We'll move on. So what I want to use is Render. Render is free. Has very sensible plans for as the free plan, which is I feel one of the best out there. After Heroku took away their whole paid, so now we have to use render. So you can go into the render dashboard, create an account, go into the dashboard, and create this. But before, okay, I have to go back. So I'll explain how I can link. You have to link your. You have to link your GitHub. You have to link your GitHub to it. So let me log in. So before you can do all this, you have to log in if you have an account. But if you don't have an account, you must make sure that you create one and link your GitHub to it. So now, because I'm already logged in, that's why it's showing me this dashboard. But if I wasn't logged in here, it's automatically logged in. If I wasn't logged in, to show a sign up, or it should show a sign up there. Excuse me. It should show a sign up there, and you should be able to log in from there. Okay, so moving on now. Then I can now go into my dashboard. From here, I'll go into dashboard. You can see it's connected to my GitHub already and showing all my deployments, which I've done my homework on it. So now moving on. So this summarizer that I did, the location is right in my OS. So now let me move and show it so we can bring it out and deploy it to GitHub first. Then it's from GitHub that I'll now deploy it on the render. Okay, so moving into desktop. Okay, this is because it's open. So I'll close everything related to it. This is the summarizer. I'll close it now. And I'll close my command prompt. I would reload all this when ready. I'll reload it after a while. That is not hard. Okay, so we've closed it. So now let me move this to desktop. So I'll be able to render easily. Okay, start someone join. Okay, now moving on. So now I can open this. Then firstly, if I want to deploy it to GitHub, and go to github.com, login. I'm already logged in here. This is my account. Or no, let me log in normally. Let me not go into my account first. You can find the code there too if you need it. Okay, so it automatically logs me in here. So now I create a new repository. You can give it any name you want, but me, I'll just give it Summarizer Meet, and that's available. So now I'll create repository. So now moving on, after we've created the repository, then we can right click on it, show more options, then git bash here. You have to install git to be able to do this. This helps me to directly move into GitHub. This helps me directly push something through GitHub through a git terminal. That's the word there. So now we move on. So you can see all this here. All this to add a community with git bash. This is all the codes, all the lines of codes that you need to directly host to GitHub. It is not compulsory you use it line by line, but I'll show you the way I use it, which I feel is actually better than this. But I'll copy one or two codes if. So now I have to initialize git here, git init. So it tells me it has been initialized. Now to check the status, you have to check the status of which one has been hosted, which one has not, which one has been hosted, which one has not. Check this. Now you can see they are all red, which means none of them has been hosted. So now, but if I do git add, okay, that was a mistake because I used comma instead of full stop. Git add, then full stop, space before the full stop. This just tells you git add all the files in that repository that you asked for git bash. Git add all the files there. Git add. Then let me do this git status again. This should have changed. Okay, yeah, now it's all green now. Formerly the way it was red before, now it's green. So now we have to now commit it. Git commit -m first commit. Then we have to now copy this particular line of code because this includes the new link for it. So now I'll just copy and paste this here, tab on it, then git push hyphen u origin master. I like to use master because that's how I learned, that's how I started. So me using something else is it seems a little new for me. So I always use master. Now moving on. Okay, I'm still here. I'm not speaking to myself again. So now if I reload this here, this should have my code in it. Yeah, as we see here now. So I've now been able to host it on GitHub. Now I'll go into render. I'll tell render a new web service because it's a web service I'm trying to do. If it was a static service, like it's just HTML, CSS, then I'll just push that. I'll just use static service. But now is a web service. So I'll now do build and deploy from a Git repository. But before I do that, I think I've made a mistake. But there is no problem as we can always edit. So let me go into GitHub now, into the particular I did. Extractor. Okay, this is it here. Now I need two new files actually. These files are the build.shell file and the requirements.txt file. These two files, what the two of them does is they tell the so for render, let me explain it like this. For render, before you go into it, before you can able to host it well, you do all the things you do in your terminal before you are able to host the Python code. You do all of them in render too. That's just the basic way of saying it. So you are adding both of them to it. So okay, I would do that now. Okay. Okay, is that someone joining? Okay, no. So moving, I can just so now I just if you press a full stop on it, you can go into github.dev, you to develop in GitHub. Now let's move on. Should have done this on the whole tab there, but I think I forgot, but now I remember, so now we'll move on. So you go into this here. So now I'll create a new file. Our name is build.shell. Create another new file. I'll call it requirements.txt. I'll save this. So these are the two new files that I explained that we needed. So the requirements.txt and the build.shell are the two files. So let me copy I will have to copy the code because two of them are this. So if we can't copy the code, if just peradventure that we are just doing this for the first time, we don't know all the whole dependencies that we need, you can go into your terminal. Let me go into my terminal and do something like now. Okay, let me leave this side for visibility. Okay, now I'll do pip install pip. No, I'm not installing, my bad. Pip show spacey. Like spacey was the one I used to create the app. So it will pip show spacey. It should show all the dependencies needed for it too. Okay, so these are the requirements: catalog, SIMM, Ginger, lang codes, numpy, pathy, and all. So now we've seen all the things that are required. So we can add it here one by one. It takes a lot of time, I know, but I think it's worth it. You can always keep pushing for it. Okay, so I'll copy that code there since I've done my homework already on it, and this is what it needs. So paste this here, save this, then go into the requirements.txt. Is basically almost the same code, but requirements.txt here just states the requirements one by one, and make sure that you are able to do it. Oh, my bad. Trying to be C. So paste this here and be safe. So now I can commit changes. Okay, now I can just call the second commit. Commit and push here. Now I would check. Let me copy this. GitHub doc. Now I'll change this dev to and check the new state of it. Now we can see that they have been updated. This build.shell file and the requirement.txt file have been updated. We can clear this now as we don't need it anymore. So, but we can see that this has been, even though they are different commits, but there are still changes. So now we move on. Now I go to render. I can now reload. If I reload, just make sure you reload this if it has been. If you don't reload it, it will be on the old one. It won't show the new ones. Now this is a minute ago. Now we connect. So I can name this my own summarizer. This is the master. This root directory, we don't need it because we are in the root directory already. Normally, we are meant to have written the root directory, but since we are inside, we don't need it. Okay, now moving on. This particular command, this build command, is not what we need. The build command we need is double.build.sh. What we are telling it is, we wrote the code in the build.shell file. We wrote it as like lines of code that you execute. So after you execute those lines of code, that's all you need. So now you move on. Gunicon dot. Okay, so this is all I've done before. If you can see this, I don't think you're able to do it. So Gunicon, the project name that we did was Summarizer. Okay, I think Summarizer dot WSGI. This WSGI is what helps in deployment of the application. Now, like I said about render and their very generous prices, you can see the amount of RAM we have for 0 prices a month and the amount of CPU we have. Even though it's 0.1, I feel is actually very, very good. Now, in this environment variable, we have to make it concurrent to the web, even though it's not working already. Okay, on concurrent to the web too, we have to make sure we have done something in the settings. Okay, that skipped my mind also, but we can always change it, as that's why another thing we GitHub. Okay, now we move into the settings.py in the, I think it's in the summarizer app. Okay, yeah, it's in the summarizer app. Now I can edit it. What I'll do here is, let me explain the code that we needed. So this is the code that we need. Let me bring it out here. So we do this. This is very, very important. If it's not written there, this is the thing we need. So it can be hosted on the web. If not, it's not going to be hosted in the web. You're just wasting your time. So you have to have a Django secret key. This Django secret key can be generated using jQuery Django secret key. Yeah, this is very easy. Just generate a secret key for yourself, then you've copied it. Simple and short with this. But I already have mine, even though I meant to delete this after I'm done, which I would too. So that's just it. So you can create your own secret key and then use it. But if you don't create yours, you just create yours and use it. So now this is when the secret key is os.environ.get Django secret key that your secret key. Simple. Then if you are getting the environment, you are getting the Django debug environment. Like, this means to debug it, debug your Django code. If there's an error, you show it. If there's no error, and that's just what it's trying to say. This Django debug. So now I'll go, and this allowed hosts. Normally, if we knew the link they would give us, we are meant to put that link here. But since we are not sure of the link, since we don't know the link that will be given to us, we just use any link. This star here means any link. Anything is allowed to host anywhere. So if I copy this, I think I've explained this already. Copy this, then go into the editing here and go all this and then paste this. I save this, then I commit my changes. If I've been able to commit my changes here, I would make sure I go back because I have made a mistake here, which won't make it. I explain. I should have deployed it so we'll have seen the mistake, but well, then to just give us redundancy, but no problem. Then I've explained this. Now we've seen a few seconds ago, so that's the one we use because we just edited it and it's just showing there. So now I will have done my own summarizer as we did before. .build.shell file as we did before, and this Gunicon summarizer as we did before. So that's another good thing because if you make a mistake once, you can always come back to do it. So where I got stuck before, the web concurrency. This web concurrency tells you this web concurrency just tells you how it is concurrent to the web. I'm using the value. As I was saying, the web concurrency gives you 4. Then I move on, then I create web service. Now let's see what happens. If there's a code, we'll see the error and we'll be able to do anything. So now we should see like a terminal like, okay, yeah, this is it. A terminal like layout. Now there it looks like our terminal, but it's not our terminal. It's our terminal on render, but it's not our terminal. So we look at it and we see it's downloading like it will do on our command prompt. Okay, now we move on. You see it keeps on downloading. It downloading all what we need. So let's wait for it. It's building now. It should build, and when it's done, it should be able to show on the web. Okay, so we got an error that the build was failed. If you can see why, it's because this OS was not defined. That's in our settings. If we go into the settings here, these settings that I just edited, we can see that we didn't import the OS. We just called this OS here, os.environs, without importing it. If it was in the VS Code, we would have seen the error out, but it's not. So, which makes us to do it. Come back here and edit this. Okay, let me edit this so we can add the import OS there. So, view this, commit changes. So, I'll go here and delete this. Deleting this, I would make sure I delete it because it is useful. It is useless since it doesn't render out. So let me paste this, delete this web service. So when it's deleted, I can see everything. I can see it's all deployed. Now let's create it all over again. Next, you can see it will surely give you errors. You can't run away from it. I think this is like the 15th time and I'm still having an error, but what's coding without errors? You should be used to it now. So my own summarizer, we go again, the build.shell file, Gunicon. Okay, it's okay. Yeah, so as we were, Gunicon dot summarizer. Okay, summarizer that we used before. So advanced, add environment variable, web concurrency. I said before. Okay, is someone there or do you? Okay. Okay, so move on. Create a web service. after we specify the concurrency now. So now it's deploying. Sure, I am. I'll make sure I am. Thank you very much. Okay, okay, so moving on. So this is still building and deploying here. But then I'll go on to check this. Okay, still building. Okay, the render also will also send you an email if you make a mistake, if you do this, and you'll be able to ask them. That's another very good thing about render. You'll be able to meet them to ask them for issues if you make any mistakes. Okay, so now you can see it has built successfully. All our migrations has been migrated, all the whole things have been done. Now it wants to run it, so it's live. Your service is live. Now we are live here now. So if you copy it to clipboard, then we go into that link and paste this here. After, if it can load, okay, it should load any moment from now. Okay, okay. Network. I think the first time you do it, it should take time because of concurrency and all that. Okay, okay, okay. So let's give it time. We'll come back into our code. So you can just make sure to you can follow me on GitHub for more important things, more important context, more. So as it's loading, I would say my final remarks. I would say this that make sure that for all texts, make sure that for all projects that you want to do, if you want to create a new project, if you want to create a project now, make sure to do your background check on it. For this project that I wanted to do on this natural language processing summarizer, for all this that I wanted to do, I wanted to use natural language processing to do it, and I actually learned it. Well, it was actually very very useful in understanding what it did, which I'll say I'm very happy I did. But secondly, the other reason why is you can go into Google, you can go into make your research, find out. Just make sure you go and you search on everything that you make sure you do. Make sure you search on it, make sure you do it, make sure you check it out. Because there are easier ways of doing things now. Like this was just a Python library, which just helps me analyze text and you just know how to use it. It's probably render that is making it this slow, but it should come out any moment. Okay, I'll send it to myself and I'll post it on all social media platforms too. Then as we do it too, so they will to show in a tab too.
Testing, testing.
Okay. Okay, I can hear you. Okay, I think this is probably my network. But we are sure it doesn't fail. We are sure it works well. Can you hear me? Okay. So this is okay. Okay, I think I would edit this then. I would edit this when it's done. When it should. Okay, so this is our summarizer app. That was my network that didn't make it load well. I've been battling with that all day. So this is the summarizer app hosted on Render. So now we have our link we can share and we can test if it works. Let me write numbers first. Extract. Let's see what it says. Error, which is exactly what we did. Now I'll go into, there was a text file that I did just for this testing. Okay, and this downloads here. Okay, that's it here. Okay, so now let me open. Okay, this is it. If I copy this, paste this here, let's see what it shows us, how it does. I think it's loading because of all what we are trying to do. And this is TensorFlow actually. This TensorFlow is also applied to this. I meant to state this because TensorFlow is a machine learning, doesn't work. Natural language processing is also under machine learning. So this is the original text. You can see how long it is, and this is summarized text in green, which works perfectly. We've built our own summarizer app. We've hosted it on Render, and now we can share our link. We've styled it to a good extent. We've been able to do all the whole summarizer app, and thank you all for tuning in. I would make sure to push on, and here it is. Thank you. You can stay tuned. I would be releasing more new contents, new things, and just make sure to stay tuned. Thank you very much.